Gentlemen, there's a political debate going on in Parliament Hill whether our inflation, or just inflation, as Pierre Poilievre calls it, is homegrown or whether it's part of an international trend. What do you gentlemen think, Joe?
Well, it's clearly both. There is no question that this government has created inflationary pressures. I mean, after all, inflation arises when demand increases and there isn't enough supply. And there was huge demand created by the extraordinary fiscal stimulus of $500 billion that the government created. Money was, if not printed, I mean, digitally created, which is effectively the same thing. Money supply goes up, and so does inflation. So there is no question that fiscal policy, in a very significant way, contributed to that. Also, our lack of resource development meant that we had to import more highly expensive oil and gas. The other side, of course, the international contribution was fairly significant as well, particularly flowing from the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the sanctions that were imposed on Russia and their retaliatory measures that boosted the price of natural resources. So we're dealing with a double whammy. But a government is there to make problems less harmful and not exacerbate them, and that's unfortunately what's happened here.
Point of view, Gary?
Well, I'd agree. It's clearly both. There are factors that are international, and let me say this: I mean, 3 years ago, nobody knew what a supply chain was. Now everybody's acutely aware of what a supply chain is and how it impacts the cost of goods that we import into Canada. So there are factors from outside, but as Joe points out, there are factors inside that didn't make things any easier either. One would think that Canada, one of the net food exporters, we're a food secure nation. I think we're number 5 or number 6 in terms of net food exports, and yet people see the cost of their groceries going up every day. There's got to be some way of being able to tamp down inflation with domestic tools that are not being used right now. Energy would be another area, I think. And Joe.
Well, I was going to ask you, Gary, on the energy front. Obviously, that's such a global issue right now. Your thoughts on that, gentlemen, would be appreciated.
Well, I mean, Canada, look, we've got depending on who's counting, either the 3rd or 4th largest proven reserves in the world. I would argue that we've got the largest proven reserves that you can audit in the world. And I think that it's important that we develop them in a responsible way. And clearly, when you look at programs like Pathways, which is the major oil sands producers all working together to come to net zero by 2050, industries there, they want to see this happen. They have the tools. Nobody really talks about the costs of doing that, which I think is an important discussion to have. But do we have resources in this country, be it natural gas, be it oil, and how do we use them? Not only for gasoline or diesel, but also for plastics that are used throughout our economy, using them for all kinds of purposes, PPEs as an example. There are all kinds of things that we produce here in this country that with the right public policy, we could produce more of what we need domestically and rely less upon, offshore sources of such goods. Onshoring, nearshoring. I know this is something that you're keenly interested in, Tony, but energy is clearly one of the really big areas where Canada, with the right kind of public policy, could be developing these sources of energy in a responsible way that benefits not just Canada, but the world as well.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm going to let you respond to this as well. We are going to take a commercial break first. However, I would just add to Gary's point that it is mystifying to me that we've got so many things to offer the world, whether it's energy, even short term, even if you want to decarbonize, we can help the world do that, but in a way that is successful, and food as well as all these other products. So it'll be interesting to see whether we step up or not. We're going to take our break. We'll be back with our guests after that. Please stay with us.